I can say, if I were in your position, I would take with myself and hand over to someone else who is not compromised.
Thank you very much for supporting Views and Voice Media. In today's Views, we will take a look at Andrew Holness being interviewed by Vishnu Som of NDTV. So my people, let us take a keen observation and listen keenly at what have been said, and let us have the discussion in the comment section below. And my people, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to help the channel grow. Thank you very much.
It's a time-tested relationship, but one that also has a distinct vision of the future. The visit of the Prime Minister of Jamaica to India really reinforces a strong association that's only getting much better. Joining us now, a very special guest, His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness. Thank you, Dr. Holness, very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you in India. I believe this is your first official visit.
This is my first visit, but I'm certain it will not be my last.
You know, our Prime Minister said something interesting when he said that our relationship, India and Jamaica, is defined by 4 words. I'm going to go through those words. Culture, cricket, Commonwealth, and the Caribbean. Would you agree?
Of course. But it's also could be described by some others. People.
Yeah.
Global South.
Mm-hmm.
The aspiration for development. And a common thread of trying to overcome poverty, climate change, and maintaining a peaceful world.
Prime Minister, let's talk a little bit about that. Climate change is a shared concern. Obviously, in Jamaica, in the West Indies, climate change and rise in seawater temperatures is a profound concern. How do you believe India and Jamaica can work together towards, for example, climate change technology?
Well, we are working together. India has been leading efforts for global solar technology development and having that technology available to developed countries. And we are part of the International Solar Alliance, which India is leading. And India has also been very active and very supportive for small island developing states. And there is a particular initiative, the CDI initiative, where they are helping small island developing states to build resilience, the ability to recover from shocks, particularly environmental and climate shocks. So in that regard, countries like Jamaica and other small island states are working very closely with India to address these issues of climate change.
Digitalization and India's digital infrastructure is something which it's worked for us. For example, I have various apps on my phone. My driver's license is on my phone. I don't physically carry it. My national identity card is on my phone as well. And it seems to be technology which is working. When I go to the airport, I don't carry a ticket. It's just that one app which gets me in, facial recognition technology. Do you believe the digital economy and the digitalization of your economy is something that India can be a part of?
India has essentially created the roadmap for developing countries, countries in the global south, to enter into the world of digitalization, to create digital societies. Now, the perspective of a digital society may seem to be beneficial only to certain elements of the society. It may seem as if it's technology to support the rich or to support the middle class. But if you look at India's use of the technology, as you've mentioned, your national ID in the Aadhaar system, in your universal payment platforms, I think the people who would have benefited the most would be the poorest in the society, because it has facilitated seamless, effective, and efficient cash transfers to equalize the society, to give benefits to those persons who would normally have to travel long distances, for example, or have to stand up in long lines, or would not be able to open a bank account, for example. They would be excluded from the formal financial system. But by virtue of using digital technology, we are now able to effectively target and include the poor elements of society. And therefore, the lesson from India is that technology can be used to lift people out of poverty. And one of the reasons why I'm here is to strike up a strong partnership with India to get access to your digital public infrastructure, in particular your universal payment infrastructure.
Prime Minister, India has believed that there needs to be a profound reform of the United Nations Security Council. It needs to reflect different and changed realities. How has Jamaica been a consistent and constant partner of India?
Jamaica has declared its support for India's candidate in the Security Council in the next go-around. And we support the position that there needs to be reform that takes into account the new realities of global politics.
Prime Minister, I must ask you, since we are in a very difficult, challenging sort of situation around the world, you've seen what the situation in West Asia is. There appear to be so many differences right now, and a real worry that that entire war can sort of spiral out of control. Could you share your concerns on this situation?
Jamaica is a strong believer in multilateralism. Particularly as a small island state, we wouldn't be able to survive without a multilateral system that is built upon the pursuit of peace and respecting the sovereign borders of nations, and indeed the fraternity and humanity of living in a world where everyone can be respected.
Prime Minister, India seems to have taken a fairly major role with regard to the other war, which is Russia and Ukraine. Prime Minister Modi has reached out to Moscow, has reached out to Kiev. And, we are at this stage friends of Tehran, we are friends of Tel Aviv as well. And of course, a voice of the global south. Do you believe a country like India can have a potential role in being perhaps a communicator to bring together divergent views?
You've said it. India has taken on, in a very strategic way, but in a very robust way, the voice of the global south. And we saw that in the G20, which India hosted recently. And in its theme, One Earth, One People. I think India, Prime Minister Modi in particular, has played that role. And it is very important that there is a large country with significant resources that can stand in the halls of power and represent the global south. And I think India is well placed to do that and has been doing that.
You spoke about Prime Minister Modi. You've engaged with him a couple of times in the past as well, quite a few times, and of course you're now in India. What's that experience been like? Prime Minister Modi and myself, we get along very well. Right.
I believe we may have similar personalities, and I do admire Prime Minister Modi. And indeed, we recall that during the pandemic, Prime Minister Modi was one of the first world leaders to reach out to us in Jamaica to assist with vaccines. So, based upon our relationship and our shared perspectives on many issues, I think we have a very good foundation for a strong bilateral relation between our two countries.
The defense equation is something, or the strategic relationship, I believe, is something that both sides have engaged on in conversation. What are the broad parameters of that?
Well, we have engaged with India on support in security and defense, particularly in training of our defense force and our officers. So we already have a few officers here training, but more so in technology. For small island developing